And CTV's Scott Hurst is standing by with the latest on this, and he joins us now. Scott, there are a lot of people that are happy with how things turned out, as bad as it is.
As bad as it is, Roger, we heard from the governor of Florida yesterday, Ron DeSantis, that it could have been much worse. That fear of a massive storm surge didn't materialize. Of course, there is still a significant amount of damage, and you mentioned the millions without power as of early this morning. That is still about 2.5 million people without power across the state, and the death toll has continued to climb as well, and the state is expecting the number to continue to grow. As of last checked, at least 16 people are confirmed dead related to the storm, as Floridians are scrambling to pick up the pieces. Homes have been flooded or ripped off their foundations. We saw boats violently tossed on shore, and of course, communities cut off by the floodwater as well. As you mentioned, some things, particularly the tourism industry, starting to get back up to speed, and that also includes airports. The Tampa Bay Airport reopening today, Orlando Airport, the state's busiest, resuming operations as well. However, the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport will remain closed on Friday, so flights from Canada also slowly returning to normal, but the message from Toronto Pearson at least is to check your flight status before you go to the airport, because of course getting back up to speed might take time. We heard from the Prime Minister on his trade mission in Asia, also commenting on the devastation in Florida and how Canadians are pitching in as well.
I've also seen the devastating images from the ground in the U.S. after Hurricane Milton made landfall yesterday. My heart goes out to everyone affected by this tragic disaster. I know Canadians are already rolling up their sleeves, some there to restore power, others there to help neighbors in need. We are all thinking of our friends to the south.
And Roger, fortunately, in the short term for residents who've been dealing with back-to-back massive hurricanes for the next week ahead, at least the forecast calls for bright and sunny conditions. So that is good news for storm-weary residents.
I bet. And are they managing to get back home? Have they been allowed to start returning home yet?
Most residents are allowed to attempt to get back to their homes and back to their communities. Of course, there might be some local and regional restrictions in place, particularly for some barrier islands that, of course, bore the brunt of the first little bit of the storm. And so there might be local road closures, but for the most part, people are allowed to get back to assess the damage. But of course, there is still a significant amount of debris. We even saw video of a massive sinkhole cutting off an entire community. So there might be barriers in trying to get home, and of course, getting home as well to assess the damage. People might show up and see trees through their homes that have significant damage from flooding. And we've also been hearing that gas might still be hard to come by, as a lot of stations still remain without fuel. And of course, getting back to your community, fuel is significantly is required, of course, not just for your vehicle to get back, but in the cleanup effort as well. Generators require that as well. So, you know, there are a lot of challenges, a lot of roadblocks getting back to your home. They might be unlivable in the short term. So most residents are allowed to get back to begin picking up the pieces and begin to assess the damage, Roger.
Okay, CTV Scott Hurst, thank you for that update.
Thanks, Roger.